everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about postpartum sex. Whether or not you've had kids, you may have heard of the post-birth 6-week checkup, and this is where supposedly your doctor tells you, hey, you're all good to have sex now. Go, 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 go. If you do talk about sex at this appointment, because a lot of the times it doesn't come up, it may be the only interaction new parents get with a healthcare professional about postpartum sex. So I am going to be doing a whole episode of the Hormone Diaries about my personal journey with postpartum sex and all of that stuff, but I very much feel still in that journey. So this video is going to be with my sex educator hat on and exploring this whole topic. And this video is sponsored by Elvie as part of their sexual health awareness campaign. They want to raise awareness around the complexities of postpartum sexuality beyond the 6-week checkup. The physical, the mental, the emotional, and relational. Elvie are all about challenging harmful expectations and empowering you to navigate postpartum sexuality in a way that works for you. So thanks so much to Elvie for sponsoring this video. You may have heard of their ultra quiet and wearable electric breast pump, the Elvie pump, which is designed to fit discreetly in your bra. I am a big fan of their brand and excited to be working with them on this campaign. Their mission is to create world-class technology to address intimate and often neglected issues faced by women and people with wombs throughout their lives. So let's get into talking about postpartum sex. When can I have sex after birth? So there is no required waiting time to have sex post-birth, but most healthcare professionals recommend waiting at least 6 weeks to give your body time to heal. But every birth and every recovery from birth is different, so this isn't a hard and fast rule. Because of the recommendation to wait 6 weeks after delivery to have sex, you might feel like this is some kind of pressure to be ready, or you might be really wanting to have sex 2 weeks post-birth and feeling like you should wait until you're supposed to. Elvie found that the most searched topic on postpartum sex was, can I have sex 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks postpartum? But the reality is that it can take any length of time, from 2 weeks to 2 years and beyond. Do check with your doctor or midwife if you are unsure. Take your time, there is absolutely no rush, and you know your body best. How does sex feel after birth? It's important to acknowledge and try to accept everything that our bodies have been through, from pregnancy to birth and postpartum. It's okay and totally normal for sex to feel different and to feel differently about sex. If you're breastfeeding, this can cause vaginal dryness, so you might need to bust out the lube more often. Nipple stimulation might be something that feels completely different physically, but also mentally. It might be something that you're not interested in at all, or practically difficult if stimulating them makes milk come out. You may also have weak pelvic floor muscles. Bladder leaks post-birth are really common and really normal. They happen at all ages, but are particularly common post-birth. And this is where doing your pelvic floor exercises, aka your Kegels, can really help to strengthen your pelvic floor. And one of the ways that you can do that is with the Elvie Trainer. Look at this cute little thing. This little device you put inside your vagina and you can connect to an app, and it can help you to learn how to do your Kegels. It is made of body-safe silicone. You can use the app to set reminders so you know to do your Kegels, and I definitely need reminding a lot at this time. It's really helpful and walks you through the exercises and gives you feedback on your technique, and it makes it fun with lots of expert designed workouts. Little workout for your pelvic floor. So Elvie have also given me a discount code to share with you. You can get 25% off when you use the code HannahW25. And because of everything that is going on with your body, penetrative sex may be difficult or uncomfortable at first, but there is no need to rush, and please don't force anything if it's hurting. Rebuilding your sex life after birth. There is no denying that the dynamic between you and your partner will have changed. You've now become co-parents together, and this is an entirely new experience. And there's also a lot to navigate if you are a single parent. You may not be wanting to connect with other people right now if you feel like you and your baby are in this vulnerable place. It might make it harder to let new people in. You also might just not be interested in it at all, or you might be really interested in connecting with new people and rebuilding your sex life. Everything is normal and go at your own pace. It's important to remember that sex lives are not linear. Everything comes and goes in phases and seasons. There are ups and downs, and nothing is permanent. If you are not having sex at all right now, postpartum, that is not going to be what your sex life looks like forever. These are some handy tips for rebuilding your sex life after birth. Expand your definition of sex and intimacy. A lot of the time, we just define sex as penis in vagina, PIV sex, especially within heterosexual couples. But when we expand our definition of sex and intimacy outside of this, you'll actually find there is a lot more on the sex menu than you originally thought, and a lot more opportunities to be sexual with your partner and create moments of intimacy. Just because your relationship lacks PIV sex doesn't mean that it lacks any kind of sexual energy or any kind of intimacy. Looking up extensive sex menus online and creating want, will, won't lists with your partner are a great way to explore what is possible and also interesting to you right now. And another great thing to do is relationship check-in questions. You can find lists of these online as well, and they can be a really fun and insightful way to really have a deep conversation with your partner. Another thing that can help with sex and intimacy post-birth is scheduling sex. And I have a whole video about that before you go, oh no, scheduling sex. But actually it's something that a lot of new parents find really helpful. And of course, please do not forget about solo sex. Masturbation is still sex, and when you might not be able to find time to connect with each other, you may be able to find the odd moment stolen away of connecting with yourself and your body and your sexuality. Rebuilding your sex life post-birth can feel really daunting, can feel really scary, especially when your body has gone through such a huge change and massive experience. Things might feel different, things might feel painful or uncomfortable, and so solo sex is one of those ways that at your own pace and in a safe way where you feel comfortable, you can explore your body again and start to think about and discover what feels good again. Body image. Body image is something that is hugely connected to sexuality and desire. And postpartum, our bodies look and feel very different, and how we feel about our bodies also might be very different, and it's very normal to be in a bit more of a negative headspace about your body post-birth. If you're struggling to see yourself and your body in a sexy way, one thing that can really help is to focus on the ways that your body brings you joy and pleasure outside of sex. So this could be with things like food and eating, moving around, breastfeeding, what your body can do in terms of like looking after your baby. There are so many different ways that we can use our bodies beyond sex, and so many different ways that those things can bring us pleasure. Clothes is also a huge thing, definitely in a practical sense as well. It might be the case that you can't fit into many of the clothes that you owned pre-pregnancy, and it can make you feel really down if day to day you're always seeing these clothes that you no longer fit into in your wardrobe. If you have the space, I would highly recommend just taking out all of the clothes that no longer fit you and putting them away in a vacuum seal bag, in a box, in a cupboard somewhere. And if you can, to try and build a new postpartum wardrobe that makes you feel good and brings you joy. Obviously with this, there are storage space, time, and financial limitations, so not everybody will be able to do this, but in whatever way you can, it is really useful. Clothes are a way that can make us feel really good about our bodies, and in that postpartum haze, you might just be wearing pajamas all the time and lots of very loose and comfy clothing, and that is obviously absolutely fine. There are lots of different kinds of clothes that can bring us joy and comfort, but definitely think about it as something that you can put a little bit of effort into to make you feel good about your body. Also think about, if you have a partner, how can they help? Do you need to hear compliments from them? What about non-sexual touch as well? And you can also tell your friends and family and ask them to big you up, and whatever it is you need to make you feel good about yourself. Feeling touched out. Feeling touched out is a phrase used to describe that feeling of exhaustion from just having a baby clinging to you, touching you, breastfeeding from you all day, every day, 24/7, non-stop. It can be really difficult to transition from just being touched constantly and not having any of your own personal space to then being touched in a sexual context. This is where, if you have a partner, that communication is really important, and if you are able to take a break and just sit with yourself alone with your body. No one attached to you, nobody touching it, just you and your personal space with no one coming into it. Everybody needs something different to be able to transition from parent mode into sexual partner, sexy person, adult mode. So it's about tapping into what you need and what your partner needs in order for you to be able to create the context where you can feel like you can be sexy and intimate together. Maybe this is about having a shower, changing your clothes, stepping outside and having a good scream or a cry. Maybe it's putting on a certain song. Maybe it's just sitting down for dinner and trying to have an adult conversation. If you are able to steal away these moments of time for yourself, then figuring out what you need in order to transition your body and your headspace into sexuality mode can be really helpful. Sexual desire. So I have made many videos about these things, but I'm going to do a quick fire about them because they are helpful for everyone, but they are also especially helpful for people navigating postpartum sex. And they are responsive desire and sexual currency. So we often think of desire as being spontaneous. You get horny and you want sex, and then you go off and you have sex. But for most people, it doesn't actually work that way. And people think that they are broken because they don't experience desire in this linear fashion. When in fact, a lot of people experience responsive desire. And this means that desire emerges in response to pleasure. So rather than waiting to feel horny in order to have sex, sometimes it's about doing things, getting a bit sexual, getting a bit intimate, doing things that you like and you know feel good, and then seeing if desire emerges in response to that, which it often does. Sexual currency is all about sexual interactions and energy between you and your partner that isn't actually sex. So this could be sexual jokes and flirting, a grab of the bum in the kitchen. It could just be a kiss or some dirty talk. And couples that have high sexual currency tend to be more satisfied with their sex life, even if they haven't actually had sex in ages. So responsive desire and sexual currency are super important when navigating sex in long-term relationships and also with postpartum sex, something to think about and explore. Mental and physical exhaustion. It's okay if your relationship takes a break from sex. Your relationship is not doomed if you don't have sex. If you want to have sex but are just physically too tired and exhausted to be able to, it can be something that you talk about, that you say, like, hey, I really want to have sex with you, but I'm absolutely shattered. And by doing that, that is actually a form of sexual currency. Unfortunately, there is no quick fix to this. I've heard that having kids is mentally and physically exhausting for years. And remember, it is just a phase. Your sex life isn't going to be like this forever. Also, you can always ask for help. What are the things that are really causing your mental and physical exhaustion? And can you ask your partner to help with those, friends to help with those, family to help with those? Is there a way to lighten your load a bit so that you can create more mental and physical energy for things like sex? And it can also be fun to think about what forms of sex and intimacy can actually help with the exhaustion. Rather than requiring energy from you, they could potentially reboost your energy. So what about a sensual massage from your partner, or your partner running you a nice warm bath and you sitting in it and them sitting in it with you or just next to the bath with you and just having a lovely chat? What are some ways that you can be intimate together that don't immediately evoke a like, ugh, effort response? Building resentment towards a partner. At any point in a relationship, but potentially post-birth, the chasing dynamic can arise. This is where you have a mismatched libido and one person feels like they're always asking for sex and getting rejected, and the other person feels like they're always being pressured for sex that they don't want. And in this chasing dynamic, resentment can build on both sides. There is no such thing as normal when it comes to desire. And when you have two people with a mismatched libido, which by the way happens all of the time, it is impossible to find two people with exactly the same kind of libido and desire. There isn't one person who is the broken one and one person who is the normal one. Everyone is normal, everyone is fine. When in a chasing dynamic, this is where understanding things like responsive desire and like sexual currency can come in handy. Also, really think about what is it that the higher libido person is seeking when they want sex. There are so many reasons why people want and have sex. Do they want to feel desired? Are they looking for a stress relief, a physical release? Do they want to be romantic and feel connected to their partner? Are they bored? What is it that they are seeking? And is there another way that they can get this that maybe their partner can provide without having sex? And what are some ways that you can help the lower libido person feel more sexual? What is the sexy context that you can create that helps them turn off all of the things that are telling them, no, I don't want to be having sex, and help turn on all of the things that get them going and get them aroused? Once again, scheduling sex can be a really useful tool in your sex toolkit when it comes to mismatched desire. This can help manage expectations in the relationship and break the cycle of the constant asking for sex and getting rejected. And of course, with scheduling sex, if you schedule sex and then when it comes to it, you don't want to, or it's uncomfortable and hurting and you want it to stop, that is absolutely okay, and you should absolutely not be pressured into doing anything you don't want to do. Just because you've scheduled the sex doesn't mean you have to go through with it. Communication in this instance goes without saying. When you shut each other out, it just creates a bigger problem. Talk about how being in a chasing dynamic makes you feel and really try to understand where the other person is coming from and how the other person feels. Another way resentment can build up in a relationship postpartum is if one parent is bearing the brunt of the childcare and household tasks. Research shows that couples where parenting and house chores are divided more evenly between the parents are more sexually satisfied. Of course, it's not always possible to have a complete 50-50 split. If one parent is breastfeeding and has more parental leave than the other, this can create an imbalance. But it's just important to acknowledge that and talk about it. Unfortunately, there is still a lot of domestic inequality, especially in cishet relationships, and this can really damage your sexuality, your desire, and your sex life. Both parents are going to have different experiences. It's not about being in competition of who is more tired and whose day was more stressful. Check in with each other and talk about what your days were like and try to empathize with the other person. It is all about teamwork, and when you feel more supported in parenting, it's going to help overall in life, but also with your sex life. So I asked on my Instagram stories for people to share some of their experiences with postpartum sex, and I want to share a few just to show how varied it really is. There is no one size fits all. Experienced temporary 2.5 years loss of internal sensation in parts of my vagina after C-section. I mean, that is hugely going to impact your sex life, or potentially not. Who knows? 4 months postpartum and still traumatized after episiotomy/forceps. Partner very supportive. Having no sex drive while breastfeeding is just as normal as wanting to have sex ASAP. Yes. Vaginal birth with stitches. I felt so broken, kept looking at it, insecure about sex 2 years on, but try. I used to love sexy touches throughout the day that would lead to sex. Now I can't stand it. It's strange how something that was very important before shifts to something unimportant. Yes. Was desperate for intimacy after birth, had sex 2 weeks postpartum and it was magical, really missed it. I had great orgasms whilst pregnant, really struggled to orgasm post-baby. Dealing with resentment from being the default parent made me lose interest in sex. See? Rushed and pressured too soon, put me off sex for about 3 years until I enjoyed it again. Took me about 2 years, was super scary and felt like it was all new again with a different body. Will never stop being awkward/funny when you have to stop because you hear a cry. I can relate. Very horny for the first few weeks after my C-section, mixed with a lot of postpartum crying. Felt weird. Yes, and I think that just sums up how you can have all of these emotions about sex and they can be contradictory to each other, and it's all normal and it's all okay, and we're all on such different journeys with postpartum sex, and there will be lots of things that we hear from other people that we find comforting because it is similar to our experiences, but ultimately everybody is different. Everyone's pregnancy, birth, and postpartum experience is different, and so whatever is happening with you in terms of your body, your sexuality, and your desire, and your sex life, and your relationship with your partner, it's all potentially up in the air, it's all potentially really different and potentially scary and new, or maybe even exciting, but it is possible to have a sex life that makes you feel desired, that makes you feel joyous and pleasure postpartum. It is absolutely possible. Yes, it might look different, but it also might create new opportunities for intimacy and pleasure and ways of relating to your partner or partners. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any of your own experiences or even advice that you want to share, please do leave them in the comments. Thanks so much again to Elvie for sponsoring this video. You can find out more about them and the sexual health awareness campaign and get 25% off the Elvie Trainer to do your pelvic floor exercises with the code HannahW25, and all of the links are in the description. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!